Good late afternoon, Bucknutters. I am Dave Biddle. Welcome into What We Learned live following Ohio State's 34-16 win at Illinois. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Buckeyes are favored by 14.5. It felt like it should have been more than that. They definitely took their foot off the gas late. Tell you what, after Illinois had that onside kick, when they were down 18 with 4 minutes left, I'm like, all right. If they would have kicked it deep, I would have said, all right, then just try to run out the clock. They think it's still a game, a three-score game with 4 minutes left. I would have tried to throw the ball down the field and piled it on a little bit, but Ryan Day was being nice to Burt. Welcome into the show. And I'll be joined early in the show by Dan Rubin. And I'll be joined by Mark Neal. Yeah, we're going old school on you guys. The former co-hosts of Bucknuts Live, Dan Rubin and Mark Neal. Mark Neal also the former co-host of, not the co-host, the man, the czar of Dayton radio, the host of Dayton Sports Scene. He basically just ran the entire station. So it's going to be nice talking to Dan and then Mark. All right, let's go over the three biggest things that I learned. All right, the biggest thing that I learned, that I continue to learn, but it continues to just get stamped home. Ohio State is the best team in the nation. I don't see a team that's better than them. We're watching Oregon right now. I think Oregon's 2. If I had to pick one, right now they're tied with Indiana. I'm like one of the few that's actually believing the hype about Miami. I don't think they're better than Ohio State. I'd put Miami 3rd. We'll see. Maybe I'll put Indiana up there too. I think Texas Tech is ranked 9th. I think they might be underrated. But I tell you what, this Ohio State team is the best team in the country. Now, does that mean for sure they're going to win the national championship? Of course not. I would take them over anybody, though. Now, if you're giving me the field or Ohio State, I would take the field. Unless we're betting $5, then I might take Ohio State. But if we're betting something of like meaningful value, I would definitely take the field just because of the odds would be in my favor. But man, if you made me take one team, clearly it's Ohio State. Clearly, I mean, I love it. I think we might find the second thing I learned. This is actually not really the second thing. We'll go 1B on this. So best team in the nation. We continue to learn that. I think we finally have a nickname for Julian Sayin. I was going with Carlsbad Kid as just a placeholder, as I told you guys. I love nicknames. The czar of Dayton radio knows what I'm talking about. The dean of Ohio State football knows what I'm talking about, and the Grand Poobah knows what I'm talking about. And I was thinking Carlsbad Kid, that's not a final one. It's a placeholder. Are we good with Surgical Sayin? He's surgical, and it kind of just rolls off the tongue. Surgical Sayin. And they didn't even really need it that much. But early in the game, it's like he's just like bam, 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 just like exactly where you want to put the football. Surgical Sayin. Or we can go with Carlsbad Kid. You guys let me know. All right. Another thing we learned. Okay, another thing that I learned, the second biggest thing, I have been hard on Tywone Malone. Great kid. Did a story on him this past offseason about one of the rare national champions in 2 different sports. Won a baseball national championship at Ole Miss. Won a football national championship last year at Ohio State. And I was like, okay, there's too much hype around this kid is what I was saying. He's playing really well. Edric Houston had to miss the game tonight. Lorenzo Styles Jr. missed the game. We'll get to that in a minute, too, with Devin Sanchez making his first of many starts as a Buckeye. Love seeing Mr. Sanchez out there. But Tywone Malone, hats off to you. Mea culpa. Yeah. Number 95 out there playing well. And I tell you what, when you got Caden McDonald, who's the best one tech in the country at 330 pounds, and you put 310-pound Ty Malone next to him as a 3 tech, that is good business right there. I like that. And it was good seeing Jason Moore out there too. Jason Moore making, I believe, his season debut. He made the trip to Seattle for Washington. I don't think he played. And then it was out last week. And then we did the availability report today, and I was like, ooh, Jason Moore's not on there. That's interesting. Or is this just going to be like it was 2 weeks ago where he's not on there but he doesn't play? Number 94 was out there. So that's fantastic news. The depth at D tackle is still not ideal, but it's better than what we expected. All right, the other thing we learned, I'm just going to cheat now. Maybe I'll get the 4 biggest things. I mean, Devin Sanchez, it's so cool to see him get his first start. I know he had that bogus pass interference. I didn't think that was a legit pass interference. I mean, you can call that on any play, really. But I thought Devin Sanchez played really well, and kudos to that kid. He's wise beyond his years. I'm not going to act like I know his parents well, but I've met them. It's easy to see that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So kudos to Devin Sanchez. And, one more thing I'll say that I learned. I'm a little concerned about injuries leaving this game. Bo Jackson's okay. There's nothing serious, thank goodness. By the way, Indiana 3, Oregon nothing. Google it. Bo Jackson getting his ankle taped not once but twice, and then had to leave after, coming back in for one play. That concerns me because he is without question the best running back on this team. It's not even close. It's not even close. So that concerns me a little bit. JJ got banged up, but that might have been one of those where it looked worse than it was. I thought at first, he just got the wind knocked out of him. Then you saw the replay. I was like, oh, my God, his entire face mask and chest went into the turf at once. That dude's just he's a machine, though. He's got up. So I think JJ's okay. I'm a little worried about Bo Jackson, though. And we'll see about Edric. I think the plan with Edric Houston is I imagine he'll sit out next week against Wisconsin. And then the Buckeyes have their second off week the week after that. And then they go to they don't go to Penn State. Penn State comes here. I think they're going to save him for Penn State. If he didn't play today, I'll be surprised if he plays next week, because then you can just give him 3 weeks off and get him ready for that Penn State game. Although you might not even need a full-strength Buckeye team to beat this Penn State team. Jeez. And can you imagine what the locker room is like, with just the chemistry overall, the culture there right now? Oh, boy. They're paying Jim Knowles $3 million to come in there and get 42 points to UCLA. Jeez. All right. So those are the biggest things that I learned. I'll have a written version of that on the site early Monday morning for VIP subscribers. Speaking of VIP, let's bring in the best publisher of any site in the country, Dan Rubin.
Oh, me? Great.
I like it, Dan. I didn't like the end. I thought they should have stepped on the throat. But overall, listen, that was a very good win.
Agreed. I would say methodical. One thing I like about the games, they're all starting to look the same. They got a formula that they want to play a certain way. They are determined to prove that their vanilla ice cream tastes better than anybody else's. I really do think that is part of it. Here's when it really crystallized for me. There was not 1 second of this game, Dave, and I think you'd agree, where you really thought the outcome was in doubt.
Right.
But at 20 to 10, they were like, oh, okay. Have you ever seen Jermaine Matthews blitz? Boom, boom, touchdown, boom, boom. That was the second one, touchdown, 34-10. They are really going out of their way. I really believe this. Day has preached and did last year about the idea of the long haul. I think you're seeing that. I was listening to the end of your little shtick there on what might be coming up. I think you're going to see several dudes get the weekend off when they go to Madison. I wouldn't play Bo Jackson. I wouldn't even play Jeremiah Smith if he's even got a limp. Anything.
Whoever would have said that thinking of the old school Wisconsin. I mean, think about, speaking of Brett Bielema in Wisconsin, it was 15 years ago when Ohio State lost one game. And by the way, that season should count, 2010. Get on that, Ross Bjork. You said you were going to. 2010, that season should count. They lost one game that whole year. Brett Bielema, Wisconsin. And whoever we thought would go to Wisconsin and be like, yeah, let's just some guys out. We'll be fine. This is a trash Wisconsin team, and I feel bad for Luke. I love Luke. But you're right. You're right, Dan.
I would really be conservative for the next game. And like I said, today, I'll tell you, I want to call someone out who I thought played great, and that's Tywan Malone. Talk about someone who's coming on. I was going to say Dave might have to actually send him an apology letter.
You talked about my opening diatribe or whatever the hell you called it. You missed when I gave Tywan Malone.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Props.
That's my fault.
I've been hard on him.
Yeah. But he looks like he's coming into his own.
Fifth-year senior, 6'4", 310. He was a big-time prospect. I'm like, what are we going to see anything at a Tywan Malone? He played playing solid the last couple of weeks, and tonight he played. Today. Yeah, he played awesome.
Yeah, and it's been nice because I think there was some fear with Edric battling injury that might be a concern. We spent many a preseason podcast discussing the backup defensive tackles. They've been great. I found it comical. I watched an NFL draft show the other night, and they had Caden McDonald in the second round because his arms were too short. I thought to myself, they certainly work when he's ripping the ball out of that guy's hands today. His arms look pretty good there.
Or throwing the quarterback backwards last week, or the running back. I can't remember.
So, I mean, across the board, I would say workmanlike. I don't think we should take the quarterback for granted now. He is very smooth, and I don't know this to be the case, but I've had someone in my family like this where you will say to them during a game, well, this happened. They'll be like, they'll say to you, no, it was this. And you'll be like, no, it was this. And then you watch the tape, and they're always right. Julian Sam looks to me like when he and Carnell were discussing it afterwards, he said, da-da-da-da. And Carnell was like, yeah. And the next thing is like, well, then you're supposed to do this. So just very impressed with the quarterback. There is no limitation to this team based on starting. I mean, keep in mind, he's a redshirt freshman. Bo's a true freshman. Jeremiah is a true sophomore. So it's not like we're relying on vets here to be the best team in the country, but very impressive. I really do like the idea that anytime there was a big play, even at the end, Patricia's like, well, can you deal with this? And the answer is always no. Even when that's the question I would like to get out of our guys, though. And I got a text from someone I trust who was not happy with the pressure. I felt like that was almost by design. I think they've got this umbrella thing going, and they're like, look, if you throw it X number of times into our defense, many bad things will happen to you. And then, when it gets dialed up, they've gotten the pressure they've wanted. So I'd be hard pressed to complain about anything today. Consider that's a ranked team.
I think you nailed it. I think Patricia knows. It's kind of similar to how I feel about like Ohio State's offense through the first 4 games. It's like people are like, well, the offense really hasn't really been explosive so far. It's like, I bet they could have if they would have needed to, but they didn't need to because the defense was so good. I agree. Like Patricia knows, like at any time he feels like he can get pressure on the quarterback if he needs to, but he also knows I'm going to confuse him. I'm going to drop back. We're going to get like tip passes. We're going to make things very, very difficult on you. I'm still mad that Illinois got 2 touchdowns, but I'll get over it. Dan.
And why put it on tape? Why put it on tape? There's no need.
Yeah.
Save that for to team up north.
We've been trying, I love nicknames. So Carlsbad Kid was just a placeholder for saying, are we good with surgical saying? He's just surgical. And it rolls off the tongue a little bit. Surgical saying. I'm just saying.
How about the surgeon?
The surgeon. Yeah, the surgeon general. Because he's a field general.
He's the surgeon.
Here we go. We're brainstorming here. I like this.
Nicknames got to be short. General. I like
Number
tight
10.
nicknames. I like one-word nicknames. So the surgeon. My nickname for the Cowboys running back, the valedictorian.
By the way, that's 2 words. The surgeon.
Fair.
The Facebook. We like the word the.
Yeah, I would say the surgeon.
Surgical saying, Carlsbad Kid, whatever. He's freaking awesome.
All right, Dave. You want my one complaint, my one concern? It looks like Max Clare was getting knocked around a little bit today. I got to watch that again. He's got to be a little more physical to me. There were a couple plays where that ball over the middle that he should have caught that. I'm sorry. If the ball hits you in the hands, in the chest, you can't be nonchalanting it. I guess that's nitpicking, but that'd be the only thing. He got knocked around in the run game a couple times. That knocked Carnell Tate off his run. He did have a nice block on the touchdown to Bo Jackson, but we're nitpicking at this point, like trying to find negativity. Even when we're doing the expert roundtable, like what more would you like to see out of the defense? I'm like, I don't know, like, guns, like artillery or something. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't have anything for you.
Want them to literally be the silver bullets? Because I think so
12
far.
Players, maybe? I don't know. So, yeah, very good. And I said, I think that my general vibe is, especially with the way the schedule is laying out, not as difficult as we may have once thought until the last game of the year, maybe. I think they're just being very conservative.
We still have 3-0 Indiana at Autzen Stadium. Indiana gets the ball back. Ooh, look at the Hoosiers. Google them. I think you mentioned this a little bit. I'm concerned about Bo. I don't think he's obviously not a serious injury where he's like going to be like miss. But those ankle injuries for running backs, dude, jeez. And they had to tape it not once but twice, and then he had to leave again. I'm concerned about that because he's so much clearly better than the other 2 guys. It's not even close.
We had this discussion a few weeks ago, and I'm okay with making him the starter, but there's no need to even really use him right now. I know people don't want to hear that, But guys get running backs. It's not like you're going to get hit. It's not like a position you can say, oh, just play him. You need to give him the day off. He won't. I really hope he doesn't play this week. And keep this in mind, he battled injuries his senior year of high school.
That's true.
So he's never really been, and he wasn't like a major ball carrier coming up in his career. At some point in time early in his career, they thought he was going to be a linebacker. So he's never carried the load for an entire season, much less a 16-game or whatever it's going to be college football season. That said, Donaldson, he does go down pretty quickly for a big guy. I got to say, maybe it's because he's running with two hands on the ball, but it seems like if you hit him low, the top comes down.
He runs straight up. And when especially if you're a shorter running back, running straight up is bad business. If you're 6'2", you cannot do that unless you're Eddie. Sometimes did it at 6'3", but then Eddie would just completely knock your head off too. Yeah, he knew when
the exception.
Eddie was fantastic.
He's the exception. You can find an exception to everything.
Exactly. And I just don't see it. And we had somebody in the chat just mention this. I want to throw Isaiah West looks like he might be the second best running back on this team.
I almost interrupted you there because I wanted to say, should we get Isaiah West dusted off of Wisconsin?
Great.
Because he's a
great minds.
I think he's clearly, of the four of them, Donaldson and Peoples have what they do well, but the idea of an all down, 3 down, 210-pound back eventually for West and Bo. In fact, I'll tell you this. I think they like Isaiah West enough that if you look in the next recruiting class, they haven't gone ape wild gone nuts on paying for a running back. So I think that might have something to do with it. The next target for running back they have big time is currently a junior who is considering reclassifying and is not. Is that because Bo Jackson has been a revelation? Who knows? But it should work out. I'm not sure I'd want to empty the coffers for a running back who's going to come in here. He's not going to start over Bo Jackson for the next 2 years.
And they like Turbo Rogers. I know he's redshirting this year.
But I'm saying in terms of an every down back, Isaiah West might be a better choice. Let's dust him off for Wisconsin and let Bo take the week off.
I agree. And now Isaiah's played in 3 games, so I know he can only play in 1 more and still redshirt. At this point, if you're a really good running back, are you really going to be here 5 years? No. So I'm not even worried about trying to redshirt Isaiah West. You can tell they like him. By the way, I like seeing a running back wearing that 32, looking good out there. I like the 25 as well, Bo Jackson. Reminds me of Carlos Snow way back in the day, and then reminds me of Antonio Pittman a little bit earlier than that. All right, parting thoughts before we bring in, Mark Neal. I'm gonna leave you here for a little bit. I can't bring in Mark Neal and not have you stay on for a little bit. But
getting the old band back together.
Before I bring in Mark, any parting thoughts from Mr. Dan Rubin?
No, I mean, I can understand how there'll be people who will have some complaints about the game. Back in the day, I think this would have been a game where they would have tried to throw up 50. But there are fewer possessions and there are bigger goals at hand. So I have no problem with it. And I think, like you said, nagging injuries to 2 of your better offensive players will make you get conservative. My overarching vibe is that we really have knocked it out of the park at quarterback. And I just want to thank Nick Saban again for retiring. Caleb Downs and Julian Sand were the idea that you could just so thank you, Nick. Good choices.
No doubt about it. And I tell you what, Ryan Day's taken a page out of Nick Saban's book in so many ways. Good book to take pages out of.
Yes, it is.
I mean, because it used to be Ryan Day did not want too many analysts on the team, on the staff, too many cooks in the kitchen. Whereas Saban would load them up with analysts. What's Ryan Day done now? Load them up with analysts, guys he can trust. I think he's realized, okay, as long as I vet these guys, it's not too many cooks in the kitchen. It's just good for the program. How many offensive line coaches do they have? 3, basically, right? They've got a bunch of analysts. Another thing he's doing, what did Saban do really well with offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators? It was coaching rehab, right?
Totally. For big name dudes.
And on and on and on. Right. Bill O'Brien. And what's he doing? Chip Kelly, Matt Patricia.
Sarkisian.
People talk crap about the Matt Patricia hire. It's hilarious. Now, you can't find those people. They're not even in witness protection. They don't even exist. They wouldn't. The FBI wouldn't protect them. The CIA wouldn't even protect them at this point. All right. Speaking of witness protection, let's go out to somewhere in Minnesota and bring in.
There he is.
Mark Neal. Love it. Big Matt Patricia fans. Got the pencil in his hat like a good American. Good to see you, Mark Neal.
Makes me want to order some wings from Roosters.
Yeah, I know, Dan. It's not even Sunday morning.
I know. I haven't walked off the set because someone said obnoxious things about Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa, but I digress.
Dave, I've got a nickname for you. I don't know if it's up Dan's alley. It's a little syllable happy.
Okay.
But the babyface assassin.
Okay. We have a little bit of an echo, and we need the full Mark Neal experience.
Oh my
You
God!
can let me go, David. He can handle it.
What kind of echo? How do we get rid of the echo? You're a former. Just a little. Do you have the headphones in or something?
I don't know why it would be echoing. I have no idea why it would be echoing.
Is that just me, Dan, or do you hear that too?
I hear the echo.
Oh no!
We need the full Mark Neal experience. We have the pencil. That's a great hat.
I don't know why it would be doing that.
I mean, I can hear you just fine. If you can't, don't worry about it. Dan wants to go run laps in the middle. Dan, do not run wind sprints in an alley though, like Mark Sanchez. All right, see ya. Woo! Get him out of here on that. A little Mark Sanchez joke.
Alcohol remains undefeated. I'm out of here.
Oh, he brings it back in. Oh God, I thought he was out, and he pulled him back in. He does. Dan's right. Alcohol remains undefeated. Although I won't be surprised when we hear more about the Mark Sanchez situation if it was alcohol plus other stuff. All right, Mark Neal.
I've got my crack staff here working on the microphone, so
there
just
you go.
bear with me for a second here.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Let's take some. Let's look at some of the comments we have down here. Yeah, that's the thing. Like anybody who's like, in my opinion, and I was ticked off at the end. I wanted it to be a blowout. I wanted that as soon as Burt had that onside kick. I don't blame him for it. I'm like, all right, fine. Go throw the ball down. You're up 18. If you're up 16, I would almost understand not taking any chances, even with 4 minutes left, because it's a 2-score game. If you're up 16, 2 scores mean they have to score 2 touchdowns and get 2 2-point conversions just to tie it. Still, 2-score game. Up 18, you almost have no chance of losing the game. They're trying to act like it's a real game. Good, throw it down their throat, but they didn't do that. But I will say this, to Buck Dynasty's point on YouTube, Ohio State was favored by 14.5 today. They win this game by 18, and Illinois was lucky to make it an 18-point game.
Yeah.
Great win, in my opinion. Great win. I mean, listen, not every game is going to be like – and by the way, Ohio State's now 5-1 against the spread. The most important thing is they're 6-0, period. That's the only thing we really care about. But like they say, good teams win, great teams cover. Ohio State 5-1 against the spread. Most of the time it hasn't been close. The one time they didn't cover, 0.5 points against Ohio University Bobcats. They're favored by 28.5. They won by 28. This team is unbelievable. After losing 14 starters, 14, not just 14 starters, 14 draft picks, more than 14 starters. They lost 16 starters.
You also look at, I mean, it's a conference road game. You see it all the time. Alabama, granted, they were playing a good Missouri team, won by 3 on the road. As these conferences get better and more deep, you're going to have these games where it's just not a complete walkthrough. These are conference road games. These teams know each other. Granted, they haven't played Illinois in a freakishly long time for being in the same conference. But nevertheless, they're a good team. I mean, you look back at Purdue threw for 300 yards and ran for 150 on Illinois. Indiana put up 63 points on Illinois, but it was a conference road game, and Illinois clearly came to play defensively. Those things are going to happen. You still win by 18. When those things happen and you win by 18, that's the sign of a good team. What do they always say, Dave? Ohio State gets everybody's best punch. That's probably Illinois' best punch against a team as good as Ohio State.
Tywone Malone, as I was saying when I let off the show, as I was saying with Dan Rubin, I have not been impressed with Tywone Malone. Great kid. I've always talked him up as like a great young man. And I think it's so cool that he won a national championship in baseball and football. One of the very few athletes that can ever say that in NCAA history. But I was like, man, this guy, he should be a better player. Like he's strong. Like he's athletic. We're finally seeing it out of Tywone Malone. It's huge, especially with Edric Houston missing the game today, Mark Neal.
I mean, when opportunity presents itself, you've got to step up and play. And Edric Houston has left the door open to some degree, whether it be with injury or play on the field, and Tywone Malone has stepped through that door. That is such an important position on the defense, defensive tackle. It's and this is no pun intended. but it's probably the least sexy position on the defense. They're the grinders. They're the guys that are there to stop the interior, take up multiple blocks. Their stat line is usually not that impressive unless you're Aaron Donald, but they're extremely important. You've seen how big of an impact a guy like Caden McDonald has on this team. You get a second one to go alongside him, like a Taiwan Malone, coming on at the right time with the players he has behind him. When you've got players around you like that, you have a little bit more freedom to go try to make a play. Sometimes I always look at basketball as a way, as a sports metaphor. When you have good players playing around you, you can take a little more chances. You have a little more confidence that if you maybe don't come through, somebody will. And when Taiwan Malone is out there, he looks like a guy that's like, I'm going to try to make a play. And if something goes amiss, I don't know, guys like Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, et al. Behind him are going to help him out. Adds a lot of confidence. And I think opportunity has presented itself. And like you said, Taiwan Malone has stepped up to that challenge. It does help, though, to have a guy like Caden McDonald playing alongside you.
Yes, the best one tech in the country, in my opinion, Caden McDonald. Not that I have watched every one tech in the country, Mark Neal, but if there's one better than him, show him to me. I agree with this. Like, we have a couple of people talking about the punter. We have Phyllis on YouTube. We have Todd on Facebook. It's like, I actually like the special teams overall. I think they're getting after it on kickoff coverage, the Nate Ebner effect. Dude, like and McGuire's a nice young man, but he's just not a good punter. He's like as the kids would say, Mark Neal, he's mid. I was going to say he's average. The kids would say he's mid. They should do a better. Ohio State says all the time, we want to be best in America at everything. It's like they walk the walk with most of that, but it's like with punter, not so much. And it's been like this for the last few years.
Well, eventually those weaknesses come up to bite you. I'm just afraid of I like Davison Igbinosun's attitude and what he brings. He's a very unique player on this team. You don't see a whole lot of guys that are the trash talkers and guys like that. Davison Igbinosun is a rarity for this roster in terms of his personality. But I swear that a penalty is going to be at the worst time. And then same thing with the punting. I think it was twice in this game where they had thrown an incompletion on third down, so the clock was stopped. They were punting and had a delay game. I think it happened twice, and that's just mind-boggling. And neither one was something. I mean, that happens sometimes in the punting game. You're like, oh, let's take another 5 yards, give us some more room. Neither one was that case. That certainly will be something that needs shored up, and they haven't needed it yet. Because they haven't been pushed like that really since Texas was the only close game. But they're going to need it down the line. If the playoffs, and I don't want to talk too far ahead, but if the playoff run was anything this year like it was last year, you're going to have to be sound in all parts of the game. They got a game with Oregon, just you talk about a collision course of college football in a Big Ten championship game with Oregon coming up. And that's just for starters going into what's left, hopefully in the postseason. Punting was the most important part of the game for Jim Tressel. I think Ryan Day is going to see a team that doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses and look at that and say, that's a big one that needs worked on. I totally agree.
By the way, how cool is it that Devin Sanchez got his first of many starts as a Buckeye? His mom is in the chat, as she is wont to do. Congratulations, Devin Sanchez. I thought that pass interference was ticky-tack. I thought Devin Sanchez played great. And congratulations, Devin Sanchez, your first of many starts as a Buckeye. And congratulations to his parents. Awesome.
When you can get on the field, especially as a true freshman on this team, that speaks volumes. And I'm not talking about mop-up time. That was a starting role. Lorenzo Styles was out. I guarantee Devin Sanchez is pushing Lorenzo Styles for playing time regardless. But if you can get on the field as a true freshman at an important position like corner, that certainly does say something. And this is yet again another player living up to that recruiting billing that brought him in, and he's getting on the field already. And that's huge on this defense.
Yeah, his first of many, many starts. Hopefully Lorenzo Styles Jr. will be okay moving forward, but this secondary is stacked. And Devin's been playing a ton since game one. That it didn't surprise me because I knew how they felt about him. But, like, you're out there against Texas, And at the time, we thought Arch Manning was like a good quarterback, Mark Neal. The fact that Devin Sanchez was out there so much against Texas told me everything I needed to know about how they felt about him. All right, how concerned are you about Bo? I'm a little concerned about this. We know this being football fans, like running backs when they get like a sprained ankle, which looked like what he had. I mean, that's going to linger. Hopefully I'm wrong. And it's not a huge concern because, last time I checked, still have Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith, this great offensive line, Carnell Tate, Max Clare, all these other tight ends. But Bo Jackson is clearly the best running back on this team. It's not even close. How concerned are you when you watch him getting taped up a couple times and then having to leave?
No, anytime it's an ankle, it's a big deal. He's super important. I mean, it didn't take him long to really just snatch that job. And he is somebody that this offense absolutely needs. They are a different offense when he's on the field. No knock. C.J. Donaldson has got a role on this team for sure. James Peoples has a role on this team. It's probably the third or fourth running back, but it's a role on this team. And he's going to be fighting like a dogfight with Isaiah West trying to hold on to that third role. But it's Bo Jackson that's the straw that stirs the drink. And injuries are inevitable. You're going to have to learn to play through them. As a running back, though, it's that ankle. When Jeremiah went down, I thought it was his head. Luckily, you could read his lips and say it was his back. Not that that's a whole lot better, but it's better than a head injury. They're going to happen. You're not even halfway through the season, hopefully. But yeah, Bo Jackson, clearly the best running back on this team as a young player. This isn't the first time we've seen this. You go back to guys like Maurice Claret, of course, in more recent vintage, J.K. Dobbins, players like that got real, Trevion, guys that got opportunities early on. But he is so important to this team. I kind of agree with Dan. Maybe you play him a little bit more easily in some games coming up. This game was a difficult one. Illinois is just a kind of a trap game. Seems like every time Ohio State rolls up in there, it's a dogfight. And they came physically. They decided we're going to take some running out of the game. Ohio State had real troubles running in this game. But yeah, I think Bo Jackson's okay. It's just he's dinged up a little bit. But that's a big thing to keep an eye on, no doubt.
Yeah, I just don't want it to linger, man. Yeah, I mean, how about Peyton Pierce, too? I mean, that had that big interception. Luke Altmaier finally threw an interception. Peyton Pierce. I'm telling you, man, this is Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese, another great game. Might be the best linebacker tandem I've seen at Ohio State since I was a little kid. Chris Spielman and Pepper Johnson in 85. Or if you want to go more modern, maybe A.J. Hawk and Bobby Carpenter in 05. Dare I say I think that Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are even better than that as a combination. Then you have Peyton Pierce as a number 3. Although Bobby and AJ had Schleggs too as the number 3. That was a hell of a linebacking core. We've seen a lot of great linebacking core at Ohio. I mean, the 2002 national champs with Matt Wilhelm, C. Grant. We've seen a lot of great linebacking combinations. Heck, even last year with Sonny and Cody Simon. This might be the best. And Peyton Pierce getting out there as much as he is says a lot to me because, they don't play a lot of 3 linebacker sets. Good to see Peyton Pierce get that pick today.
You know how hard it is, and this is a rhetorical question, but you know how hard it is to get on the field at linebacker for Ohio State? Think about the recruits that they brought in just over the last 4 or 5 years that were big-time recruits, the Gabe Powers, Reed Carrico, C.J. Hicks, that just can't get on the field. You talk about a waiting list. This is like a Michelin restaurant trying to get a table. It's tough to get on the field at linebacker when you go getting on there as a young player. And wait till Riley Pettijohn is a regular player on the linebacking core. He is, I think, the sky is the limit for Riley Pettijohn. I think there's going to be a time here in the near future where we're like, my God, this guy is incredible. He's the next. Peyton Pierce is probably the current next one, but Riley Pettijohn's the next one. And they just keep coming. But getting on the field as a linebacker at Ohio State is difficult to do. And, boy, Peyton Pierce was in the right place at the right time. But, again, opportunity presented itself, and he made the most of it. I think James Laurinaitis was talking him up something fierce in the offseason. And he has shown, even when you're behind 2 guys that are, top 2 round NFL picks coming up here soon, he's getting on the field and making plays when he's out there. It's tough to flash on this defense because there's so many people making plays. it's hard to stand out, especially as a non-starter, and Peyton Pierce has.
No doubt about it. I tell you what, man, this offensive line, we'll get you out of here on this. So impressed with this O-line, man. I mean, like Austin Sareveld, left tackle, played right guard, left guard last year. It was like he never played tackle before. He's going to be the right tackle. Okay, he's going to be the right tackle. No, let's move him to left tackle. Move him to like the money side, and he's awesome. Luke Montgomery, awesome. Carson Hinsman, awesome. Phillip Daniels, awesome. I thought Tegra played well today. Obviously, they need to see more out of him, or he wouldn't be like. I can't. I'll have to rewatch the game to see if he rotated today. But the fact that he's been rotating with Padilla, now Tegra's has taken the majority of the reps, and then before that was rotating with Oni Onwa, who is the highest paid backup offensive lineman in the country at $1 million. But Tyler Bowen's doing a great job, Mark Neal, with this offensive line, and he's got a lot of talent. But I'm really impressed with this O-line for the Buckeyes.
I feel like sometime in April or March, the biggest concern was the offensive line. And I don't hear that being talked about as a big concern right now. This team has dipped into the portal in the past for guys like Josh Simmons. And now they've done it again with guys like Daniels and Oni Onwa and players like that. They recruit a lot of offensive linemen. And if you can actually get on the field, again, that's another position. If you can actually wiggle your way onto the field, that says a lot. Who would have thought that Luke Montgomery would be this good? He's really good. Josh Padilla is fighting with Tegra for an opportunity at right guard. But yes, Searveld, I felt like we kept hearing people say, whether it was Ryan Day or other coaches saying, we don't know where he's going to play, but he's going to play somewhere. And for it to be left tackle, usually that's not the place where he's a guard. We'll slide him out to tackle. Usually you're sliding your way in. That Matt Baxendale always said on Bucknuts 90, said recruit tackles, they can always move to guard. Guards are hard to kick out to tackle. Searveld's just a quality offensive lineman, kind of in the Donovan Jackson mold, and that'll serve him well on Sundays. If he can show that he can play some tackle, play a little bit of guard, that'll provide him a long NFL career. But as of now, I'm happy with him being the blindside guy for a guy like Julian.
All right, my man. Any parting thoughts before I get you out of here? And you're welcome to stay if you'd like to.
No, go ahead. Am I still echoing?
No, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? It's not bad.
Okay.
It's just a minor echo.
My crack
echo. It's like God, echo is probably the wrong word. It's almost like like when you're in like a closed bathroom and you're talking on the phone, That's what it sounds like.
Well, I'm in the basement of the very palatial Neal estate here in Golden Valley, Minnesota. So it's very spacious, Dave. So there's nothing small about this, the castle that is.
I know. I know that. I know.
But who knows? Who knows, Dave? What could possibly be happening? No, it's just this to me was Dave, and I'll leave you on this. This was the quintessential road game in conference. And when you're the big dog in the yard, everybody wants a piece of you. And this was what this game was, and yet they still won by 18 points. I wouldn't feel concerned. I wouldn't feel worried about anything more than some dinged-up ball players. This was a good win on the road against a good ball club.
See, Linz Breezy agrees.
Thank you, Linz.
He said, just sounds like he's in a bathroom. LOL, not bad or unbearable.
This isn't a toilet, I promise.
On the YouTube. Hey, he's got his hat on. He's got a pencil in his hat. As I say, if you're wearing a hat right now, you don't have a pencil in it, it's time to reassess your life. All right, good stuff, Mark Neal. I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care, pal. The czar of Dayton radio, now the czar of Minneapolis. Now we welcome in Patrick Murphy live from Memorial Stadium in Champaign. Patrick, good to see you.
Yeah, you too, Dave.
What stood out about post-game interviews, injuries? Just what do we need to know about post-game interviews?
Yeah, Ryan Day was asked about Bo Jackson. I guess they said on the broadcast that he was dealing with an ankle injury. He said, he said he could have come back in the game if they needed him to, if the game were closer. So good news there. Also hopeful to get Lorenzo Styles Jr. back next week. We'll see on that one. Still not sure exactly what he's dealing with, but I think you definitely want him back in the mix there with his experience at the very least. I think Ryan was surprisingly pleased. I was a bit surprised I got the first question. That's usually your job at these press conferences. But I
post-game show, so I can't do the post-game press conferences anymore.
Right. maybe I framed it wrong by saying that they had a slow start, because he kind of pushed back on that and said, we go out, we kick the field goal, but then we get the touchdown. He's like, we're up 20, to 3 or whatever it was at halftime. So maybe slow start wasn't the right, but I don't know. The offense just felt a little clunky today. I think, especially early on. The red zone issues kind of persist. They've got to get that cleaned up. The run game is still not going the way I think they want it to, but it is getting enough yards, I guess. And he said a few times he thinks it's solid, while admitting today that they do need to look at it and decide, is it blocking, is it where they're running, is it scheme, how he usually answers. So I think there's probably some angst there to get this run game going. He just doesn't want to talk about it publicly, would be my guess, because clearly it's not as effective in these last few Big Ten games as it was a year ago.
I thought Tywone Malone played really well today. That's a young man I've been critical of. Man, there just seems to be more that he could get. Man, he played well today. Good job by number 95. That's big for the Buckeyes, especially with Edric out. Yeah,
we just talked to Caden McDonald, who talked about just being bigger than the running back when he took that ball away. He said, running backs are small and I'm bigger than them. So I thought that was funny. But he was asked about Tywone's play and said, that's my big brother. I'm so proud of him. Look, I think sometimes opportunity brings the best out of guys, right? Like, you want them to earn it in practice. But some guys, you get into the game and all of a sudden it starts to click, and I think you get some momentum and it starts rolling. He still has to continue to do that, but I think we're starting to see the player that they were excited about when he transferred from Ole Miss. It does seem to click. Now, you want Edric Houston back, and you want Edric Houston playing like Edric Houston can, no doubt about that. But I think you've started to find something. I thought Jason Moore coming into the game did a couple nice things. So he's got the depth, right? Yeah, first snaps. Will Smith Jr., I think he's taking advantage of his time in there. Is it perfect? No, but I think these are good opportunities for him right now as still kind of a relatively young / inexperienced player. So, they're finding depth at that position. Is it as good as they want it to be? Probably not. But I do think they are starting to build a little bit there. And, they've been effective. I think when you have the right guys in there, they can shut down in the middle. Now, sometimes I think they rotate a little too much when you do need stops, but I think it's still trying to find the right combination, especially with the guy who they thought was going to be their starter on the interior and Edric Houston out.
What was the atmosphere like? I'm talking about before all the Illinois students left in the second half. It looked early on like it was like a pretty raucous atmosphere till Ohio State got up 10-0 and took them out of the game.
Yeah, I was going to say the first drive, Ohio State's first drive, was loud. Nothing crazy loud, but this is only my second time here. The last time I was here was that 2015 game, and there was nothing to cheer about that game, that whole year for Illinois. So it was loud. Then like you said, Ohio State kind of, you march down the field. Yeah, you get the stop for the field goal, but it quickly became not a bad atmosphere at all. But it was not as raucous as, say, Washington a couple weeks ago or some of the other places in the Big Ten. But I'll give them credit. I sort of was down on this stadium. Again, I'd only been here once, but I think they've done some really good things. The student section over there is kind of new. They're pretty far back from the field. So I think that does take some of the noise. You're not right on top of them like you are at, a Beaver Stadium or things like that. But, they got loud when they needed to. And then, unfortunately, for the people here, or at least the Illinois fans here, there wasn't a ton to cheer about after that. I will say, I guess, early in the second half, when they cut it to 10 points, the crowd kind of got back in the game and there was some belief again.
So I came into the season saying, man, this freshman class is impressive. They don't need anybody to start from this true freshman. I'm not even talking about redshirt freshmen, obviously, Julian Sand. True freshmen. But I'm like, these guys are going to add depth. I was right about the latter part. They're going to add depth. We got now 2 starters on the true freshman. Bo Jackson, of course, at running back. We talked about him. How about Devin Sanchez getting his first start? Now, hopefully Lorenzo Styles is fine, junior, and can go on. But Devin Sanchez has been playing a ton anyway. Really cool to see him get his first start of many as a Buckeye.
Yeah, I thought there was some definite growing moments. First play of the game, he makes a great pass breakup, knocking the ball. Well, first play of the defense's game. There was the drive towards the end of the first half when Illinois really went to pick on him. And I think you're going to look back on that film if you're Devin Sanchez and, hopefully you learn from that, right? Because there were some things there I think you can improve on. Even the touchdown that gets called back because the wide receiver was nowhere near in bounds. I'm not sure why that needed to go to review, but that was the story of the game, really, all these unnecessary reviews. The play there, like he's gonna watch that. They're gonna coach him up. I mean, this is a kid who's been in 5 games of college football. Jermaine Matthews was asked about, like, what's the biggest thing as a freshman coming in and playing in a game like this. He said, the atmosphere at some of these Big Ten stadiums. And he's like, well, he played in Texas, so the stadiums might have been this big, which I guess down in Texas that's possible. But 60-some thousand here. I'm not sure if they're that big in Texas.
Friday Night Lights, baby. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big stadiums down there. I don't know if there's I don't think 60,000 happen. I mean, wouldn't be the most shocking thing ever. All right, any parting thoughts before I bring in Steve Helwagen?
No, I guess the last thing was just like this is a solid Big Ten win. I know people are probably, I already saw some of it on social media, people comparing it to what Indiana did to this team. That was in Bloomington. It was a night game. I think Indiana felt like they needed to make a statement. This Ohio State team just wants to win games. And is it the sexiest way to win games every week? Are they blowing every opponent out? No, but you come in here against a pretty good team. I think there will certainly be things to nitpick. I'm surprised they didn't get more pressure on Luke Altmaier, especially early on, but they started to do that towards the end of the first half. But I think this is a good, solid win. And look, if you don't give up that drive there in the fourth quarter where they score, like, things look a lot better. Ryan Day said they let the foot off the gas. So, I think you can agree with that. They did end up putting most of the defensive starters back in the game because they were letting Illinois move the ball, and they quickly stopped them on 4th down. So I think there's a lot to be excited about and still plenty to clean up, which if you're Ryan Day, that's probably the way you want it, because if you just keep blowing teams out, you're not going to have these guys' attention. I think when you win, but there are issues, you can really, kind of grab guys and get that stuff fixed.
Yeah, Patrick. I mean, like, Ohio State was favored by, this is not about gambling, I'm just saying this. Ohio State was favored by 14.5. They won by 18, and it felt like they should have won by a lot more than that. So, like, people that are disappointed by this, I hope they bet on the Buckeyes to cover, because they did that and then some. The one game they have not covered this year, Ohio University, they missed that by 0.5 points. They were favored by 28, and they won by 20. They're favored by 28.5, and they won by 28. So, yeah, this is a good win. This was a very good win. Yeah.
I'll add this. Ryan Day did say, we all expect perfection. And I think that's where Buckeye fans stand is, look, this is the defending national champions. You're trying to go for another national championship this year. You'd love to have an undefeated season, Big Ten championship, all that. I think Ryan Day understands that. He wants to be perfect just as much as anyone else. And I think any issues that you're seeing, he's seeing too, and they're driving him crazy.
Yeah, very good win. I'm not just saying that because, like, when I was a kid, like the first 5 years of the John Cooper era, they went 0-5 against Illinois.
Yeah.
Then they beat Illinois in 93. So Cooper went 1-5. And then he got his butt kicked in 94 to go 1-6 against Illinois. It's always funny. People are like, Cooper was good except for Michigan. It's like, well, hold on. He was 3-8 in bowl games. I don't think they played Michigan in any of those bowl games. He got his ass kicked by Illinois all the time. It was more than just against Michigan. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to just smirch you.
No, and one last thing. One last thing. The Illinois' equivalent of the Victory Bell winner, I'm not sure what they call it or what they do today, Juice Williams. I thought that was pretty funny on their part.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Hats off. That's like when I was up, like, we took a trip to, like, the tip of Michigan, like the Upper Peninsula, and we were up, like, on Lake Superior, and they had these hats and shirts. They were like, Michigan is superior, Ohio is Erie. And I was like, that's actually pretty good. I can't hate on you for that. I can't hate on you for that, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. All right, Patrick Murphy, great stuff. I appreciate it, my man.
All right, thanks, Dave. Talk to you later.
You are superior. You're not Erie. All right. Steve Helwagen is superior as well. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave. Can you hear me?
I can. So, do you have? Last time I was at Illinois for an 11:00 a.m. local game, they had the sausage, biscuits, and gravy. Did they have any of that for you today?
No, this was actually good food. We had, sausage, biscuits, and gravy is good food. It's just not my favorite. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they had hot dogs, they had coleslaw, they had some type of chicken dish that was really good. I didn't really get into it. What else did they have? Great cookies. some dinner rolls. Just it was a fabulous
Italian beef.
spread.
I remember they had that, like, because Chicago loves their Italian beef sandwiches. They had. I
And
know
it was just
Chicago, but-
hot dogs. Hot dogs was the main
Okay.
thing.
All
So
right,
yeah,
well.
it was good spread. Not bad.
Okay, not bad. All right. Your main takeaway from the post-game press conference. I love asking you guys that because I have not seen the post-game press conference. We talked to Patrick. Anything that people need to know, Steve?
I think that Coach Day, his feeling was this was a very good win. They came in, they matched Illinois' energy and enthusiasm early. They drove down and got a field goal on the first possession. You had the ill-fated shovel pass to Max Clare down there. I think some of the play calling in the first half was kind of tough. Just two or three things. They went deep on a third down play when my inclination was, and it was the play that was overturned to Jeremiah Smith, which I don't know. You take these things and you reduce them back to 1,000 frames per second. I don't know what's going to withstand review in those situations. To me, he had about 99 of the 100 elements you need to complete a catch, but they took it off the board anyway because it kind of slid out. As he was already down on the ground out of bounds, it finally came out. I don't know. That to me was weird.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing. Like, because there's no way they would have called that. Because he caught it down and then
caught it.
It moved a little bit, but he never lost control of it. It moved a little bit in your hand, which is allowed to, and then the guy slapped it out of his hands.
Yeah.
If that never happened, and that was when it should have been irrelevant at that point. College, you know what? As soon as it went to replay, I'm like, college football replay officials are going to screw this up, and they did.
Well, I mean, he gets 2 feet down in bounds. He has secured it. And even as his butt finally hits the ground, it looks to me like it's still pinned against his stomach. What else is he supposed to do? He's down out of bounds. He's now got to protect the ball beyond that. I don't know why. Someone explained to me why, because he's down out of bounds and had already gotten 2 feet down in bounds and had the ball. And whatever, but I didn't like that play call. I didn't like them coming out of an injury timeout or whatever that was and throwing the ball deep in that situation. It's like, no, just, they've done a great job throwing underneath to the tight end and to Smith and Tate and converting one third down after another. Why are you taking a shot there? It may have been the first play of the second quarter. I don't know, but whatever it was that couple of they didn't score early in a couple of those possessions because they kind of hamstrung themselves, and then Illinois gave them short fields and they took full advantage of it. They had 3 short fields and got 17 out of a possible 21 points out of those there in the first half to go with the field goal on the first drive. So Illinois kind of gift wrapped this one for Ohio State, had another turnover in the second half that led to points. And, Illinois, you can't come to the big stage. And, poor Altmaier, 11 consecutive home games for him without an interception back to 2023. Hadn't thrown one yet all year and threw one today on the tip pass. I thought the defensive backs were just really outstanding on the whole today. It's interesting, Dave. I put the game story up with the quick takes, and one of the first replies was somebody that said there was no pass rush when I think they did have 3 or 4 sacks.
Right.
But Altmaier did have way too much time in a great quarterback and great receivers will take advantage of that. No running game, and that is 100% true. Other than punching it in on the goal line twice, there was no running game to speak of. And Bo Jackson dinged up his ankle a little bit. Coach Day said he would have played if need be, but obviously they had a good margin at that point. And he just thought it was an underwhelming performance. And I'm kind of like, man, an 18-point win on the road against the number 17 team in the country. I think you take that every time. Yep. And, take your bogey and move on to the next hole. I call this a par, actually. It's not a birdie. Sure. Not a birdie, but it's a par.
Yeah, Ohio State solid par. 14.5. They won by 18, and that's after taking their foot off the gas. It's like this was a really good win, in my opinion. Was it perfect? No. I tell you one thing. I feel like I'm not talking about Julian Sand enough. It's like even just now after 6 starts, it's like we just, oh yeah, He's going to throw on the money like almost all the time. I'm so impressed with this young man.
Yeah, he's
So
very
impressed.
unflappable, and this was his second road start, second road win by double digits, and I think both of them by 18 points. So
Nice
that's a
call.
trend. That's a trend you'd like to continue. How about that one in
Do that in
November
Ann Arbor,
29th?
baby.
November 29th, win that one by 18 points. But yeah, I like the way he took what the defense gave him. He didn't force the ball into tight windows. He took the tight end. Max Clare was involved today, and Max Clare had a big 21-yard catch there in the third quarter. After Illinois scores to cut it to 10, they came right out and threw the ball to Max Clare down the seam for 21 yards, and that got him started to the touchdown drive that made it 27-10. And at that point, you're figuring this game is pretty much dormy because, Illinois is not going to score 3 touchdowns in the final 20 minutes of the game. So, they got one, but that was good. So defensively a strong game. And I think Sayan again, just continues to, he didn't complete 80% of his passes, but 70% is not bad.
He should lose a scholarship if he's not completing 80% of his passes. No NIL money, no scholarship if you're not completing 80% of your passes.
That's funny.
Surgical Saiyan. Carlsbad kid, Surgical Saiyan. We're still working on it. I like Surgical Saiyan, Carlsbad kid. All right, a couple more things. I'll get you out of here on this. Tywone Malone played really well. It's a young man I've been critical of. He played great. And then how concerned should we be? I know Coach Day said Bo Jackson could have gone back in, but we know running backs with a sprained ankle, those can linger. How concerned are you about Bo Jackson and your thoughts on the play of Ty Malone?
I'm not that concerned about Bo Jackson because they have one more game at Wisconsin next week, and then they have their last open week of the season, and that will give them a chance to get anybody else who is banged up back in there. We're not sure what's going on with Edric Houston. He did not make the trip, and Coach Day said he had no update on him, but he readily announced that Lorenzo Styles will be back next week. So I thought Sanchez was put on the firing line, and I thought he largely delivered. He gets beaten for the touchdown that then gets overturned, when the guy didn't even have 1 foot down in bounds. They gave him a touchdown and they overturned that. But they've tried to pick on Sanchez a little bit, and he gave up a few throws, but thought largely a great game for him. And how about Matthews moving from outside to slot corner, and he forces 2 turnovers, tips a pass that is intercepted by Peyton Pierce, and then knocked the ball away from Altmaier on the corner blitz. Great game for Jermaine Matthews. Great game for Davison Igbinosun. It's tough. I mean, those are a tough position to play when you're out on an island like that, and they won far more battles than they lost today, no doubt.
Did they say anything about Edric Houston? Like, obviously,
no.
He said he
had no update. Freddie Coleman, the guy with 3 names.
Cameron Teague Robinson.
Yes. His voice sounds like Freddie Coleman from ESPN Radio.
Yep.
He asked him about Edric Houston, any update, as Dave was leaving the podium, and he just said no update. And that's all he said. Now, we don't know what that means.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah, we don't know if this is a health issue or what's going on with Edric Houston.
That sounds ominous.
But he's obviously, his stock has fallen with this staff one way or the other. He started the first game and I don't think he started a game since then. So
he started the first 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you consider Grambling a game. But then he had those 2 pre-snap penalties against Grambling. And then
got a personal foul in there, maybe one of the games.
Exactly. And then did not start against Ohio University. And
I thought he was primed to have a great year. They really need him. Although Tywone Malone made a great play on the goal line.
Oh, yeah.
And
2 really good plays.
I mean, that series on the goal line was just incredible. And it's like they stopped him at the half-inch line like twice, and then Illinois, ran a great play with 2 backward pitches or whatever to put the ball in the end zone.
That was play to score a touchdown against this. It's right. It's 4th and
that's what you need
from like the half-inch line. We're all like, they have no chance. I love this defense, man.
It's crazy.
Great win.
Yeah, there was a coordinator one time who said, "Give us an inch and we'll defend it." Wherever that guy is, wherever that piker is now, I don't know, but that's what this team has definitely embraced. What's the Indiana score right now?
We are looking at a 10-10 football game in Eugene, Arizona. Not
Okay.
Eugene, Arizona. It's also called Eugene, Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
It's not Eugene,
Well,
Arizona.
yeah.
You don't want to go to Eugene, Arizona. It's not a good place. Eugene, Oregon, not bad. But yeah, Indiana, 10 all.
Mhm.
10
Well,
all. Like,
good.
I think the Indiana just got stuffed on like a 3rd and 1. Signetti was going nuts.
Oh,
Signetti was just going, he was on the field. I was like, where he was going to get penalized. He was like yelling at an official, had to like jump out of the way so he didn't like hit the official.
jeez.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff, Steve. Appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Be good. We will talk to you this week.
All right. Sounds good. Steve Helwagen. Appreciate that. Oh, Signetti did get a penalty. There you go. Phyllis is like, he did get a penalty. I was thinking like he like ran out on the field. I was looking, I was like, dude, hopefully he doesn't get a penalty. I looked back at the computer. I didn't realize he did get a penalty. Thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see exactly what happened. Did he deserve not did he deserve the penalty? Was he right to like be upset? I didn't see what happened. All right, let's get to a couple more comments. Todd on Facebook. Arvell is that dude. He really is. He's just so damn good. It's almost unbelievable, these first-year starters. Because we think about it now, halfway through the regular season, which we are now. Football seasons fly by, my friends. We're already halfway through the regular season, 6 games. But think about the first-year starters on this team that are just phenomenal. Not good. Not good. Phenomenal. Caden McDonald's a first-year starter. Caden Curry's a first-year starter. Kenyatta Jackson's a first-year starter. I want to know if he's going phenomenal, but he's playing really well. Arvell Reese is phenomenal, first-year starter. Jermaine Matthews, phenomenal, first-year starter. I love it. And I think Jalen McClain overall has been phenomenal. A couple of rough plays tonight, but that's all right. You're not going to be perfect. Speaking of defensive backs, Bill on YouTube says Iggy still needs some oven mitts, but he's doing a better job of getting his head around, way better than last year. I agree on both points. He's still being too handsy. He was lucky he didn't get a couple more calls tonight, but he's not quite as handsy as he was, and he's doing a better job of getting his head around. That's the thing. If you're handsy, but you get your head around, a lot of times they won't call it, even if they should, because they see you're looking back, even though you're grabbing the guy's jersey or whatever. They'll let it go. If you're just grabbing a guy's jersey and you're not looking back, they're never going to let it go. Don't grab his jersey. You can be handsy. Just get your hands on him, kind of slap his arms. Don't grab the jersey. That's always the easiest call for an official is when you grab the jersey. Don't grab the jersey. You can be handsy. Don't grab the jersey, and you need to look for the ball, which he's doing. Great point by Bill. I agree with that. Charles on Facebook. He says, I like Jermaine Matthews at slot corner more than Styles Jr. I do too. I think Jermaine Matthews is clearly a better player, and I like Low Styles Jr. a lot. If you're telling me the rest of the year, Devin Sanchez and IGB are the outside corners and Jermaine is the slot, the nickel, whatever you want to call him, I'm good with that. I'm glad they have all of them, though. I'm glad they have all of them. Aaron Scott always flashes when he's in there. Man, you know life is good. Aaron Scott, as a sophomore, was the #1 corner recruit in the country by some services. By everybody, he was a 5-star. He's not a true freshman. Again, he's a sophomore. And he is what, the 4th or 5th corner on this team? 4th. Depends on what you consider. So you have IGB, Jermaine Matthews, Devin Sanchez. And then, yeah, Aaron Scott would be your 4th corner. That's good business right there. And he looks good. It's not like, well, he's a 5-star, but he doesn't look good. He looks good. He looks good on special teams. He looks good when he's on the field. Another thing we learned is Aaron Scott's a baller, and he's the 4th corner on this team. Love it. Yeah, I agree with those that have said that, like Isaiah West, he looks good. And I don't see any reason to redshirt him. Like, if he's going to be good, is he really going to be here 5 years? And there's a chance he could get hurt anyway in future years. You could then redshirt him. If you think Isaiah West is one of your top 3 running backs, I think you need to play him. Don't worry about redshirting him. He's not played in 3 games. So you can play in 1 more game during the regular season and still redshirt and play in the postseason, which is a cool rule. Surprised that's the rule, but that's the rule. If I was making the rules, you're talking about redshirt, I'd be like, you can play in 4 games, period, no more at all. Or you have to, that counts as a year of eligibility, but they've made it where it's just regular season. You can play in 4 regular season games, and you can play throughout the playoffs, and you can still save that year of eligibility, which is what they're trying to do with CJ Hicks and Malik Hartford. I like that. Get those guys, keep them ready to go if needed. But if you can preserve that extra year of eligibility, that's awesome. I think that's a great move by all parties. So I also thought Ohio State's win was great for all Buckeye parties. I know some people are upset about, even I was upset about like the way the game ended a little bit. I was a little ticked off. I wanted them just to step on their throat there at the end, especially after Bielema had that onside kick. Again, I don't fault him for that onside kick. Down 18, 4 minutes left, but then I would have returned the favor and made sure we scored a touchdown there to make it 25. But good win for the Buckeyes. Favored by 14.5. That's a tough place to play. We've seen Illinois give Ohio State fits. Now, Ohio State hasn't played Illinois in a while. 8 years. Think about how much has changed in 8 years. 2017. But just going back, man, Illinois has given Ohio State fits over the years. So going to Champaign and winning that game when you're favored by 14.5, you win by 18, and you win by 18 after taking your foot off the gas. That's a good win. This is the best team in the country. They still need to prove it, but there's nobody I would take over this Ohio State team. Oregon's really good. Miami's good. Indiana's good. I feel like Ohio State's like, they're not in like this crazy tier by themselves, but I feel like they're in their own tier. Or Ohio State's number one team, and then you've got like 4 or 5 that are like battling for number 2. Now, am I an Ohio State guy saying that? Yes. Should I take my scarlet and gray glasses off? Maybe. But I really feel like that. I think you guys know. Like I'm not afraid to be critical of this team. I consider myself a very much of a realist when it comes to Ohio State football. This is the best team in the country. They've got the best coaching staff in the country. They've got the best roster in the country. They've got the best GM in the country, Mark Pantoni. A little bit better than Mike Lombardi at North Carolina. Got to finish the show with the joke. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you to all my guests. Love my guests. Dan Rubin, Mark Neal. That was like going back in time. I love that. The former co-host of Bucknuts 90 and Bucknuts Live. Dan Rubin, Mark Neal. Mark Neal, the czar of Dayton radio. Basically ran 1410 wing in Dayton, ESPN radio, Dayton Sports Scene. So great to talk to Dan Rubin. Great to talk to Mark Neal. And thank you very much to our boots on the ground in Champaign. Patrick Murphy, Steve Helwagen. Thank you very much, boys. That was great stuff. So once again, thanks to Dan, Mark, Pat, and the wagon. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate it very much. I know you guys are still basking. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Keep it locked to Bucknuts. We're going to have full coverage of all the post-game stuff and throughout the week. Dan and I will be with you on the Morning 5 on Monday at 9 a.m. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Go Bucks.